Hey, it's Jeff with ID10T Garage. We're back working on the 69 Mustang sports roof. Now if you're new to this channel, I build these cars. They're my personal projects for the Hot Rod Power Tour every year. This is going to be my third year building a car and getting it ready for the Power Tour. Now this is a complete restoration project. It was originally a running, driving 302 sports roof, but everything was crazy with this car. It had a lot of old rot and all sorts of rust that we've done a lot of repairs already, so don't forget to catch up on those. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And comment away on all my videos or anything you'd like to see. But on this week's episode, we're doing more sheet metal work. We got to finish up our wheel wells, get our quarters cinched back in. I got to do some work on the rear filler panel and the supports to go to that, so we got to get that welded in. And we're doing a few other things just to get the car where it needs to be, tweaking left and right to get it ready to put all the metal together and weld on the full quarters. So let's get to it.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change, play the game that we say.
Hey everybody, back out here. We're about to jack up the rear end of the 69. So I can finish welding in the inside of the wheel well. So I'm going to get this wheel off and get the car jacked up. Finish up that welding in there. Then we might do a little flap disc work. Get it smoothed out enough to where we can put our panel back on. So we can move on to the other side. So that's what we're about to do. Later. Alright, we smoothed out our welds, especially on this end where the lip goes, where our quarter panel is going to sit over it. Also coated it with some Rust-Oleum. Got some paint in here as well after welding this little inner area. I had to patch that up as well to go along with this right here. So I had to grind this down a little bit as well. I was having issues with the quarter hitting this, and as you can see that gold. And what that is bronze. Well, not brazing. I believe it's called brazing. Usually when people braze stuff together, you're going to see that gold copper color. So, but we got all that and got some stuff cleaned up here. Trying to decide what I want to do next, whether I want to go do some more welding or start trying to refit this quarter again. Might just go ahead and let it sit here for a little while. I might even go get my spot welder and do some spot welding, because I have not spot welded this top piece on, which I should be able to do. I got it sheet metal screwed together and actually made holes to just weld it together, but I might just go get the spot welder and just kind of spot weld it in place. So right here and right there and stuff like that. So that's what I'm thinking. All right, so you can kind of see I spot welded all across that. I got some spot welds in here before I came back with the MIG and did some nasty welds just to secure it in place. I still got to do these structures for the trunk lid, but I want to make sure I got those where I want them first, so I'm not going to spot weld those in yet. But I did that on both sides, so this panel, on this top panel, is welded all the way into this like it should be. So hooray to that. That's one more thing done. So pretty happy there. Still got to do some cleanup, but I should be able to put this quarter back in place now at this point. Because all I really got to do is seam seal, and I can do that behind, under, and from with the quarter in. So we should be good to go as far as welding on this side is. The other side is the big one, especially with that full wheel tub. Oh, I'm sorry, outer wheel well. I got to do some patchwork on the lip itself, but everything's in place enough to where it is, so I can spot weld that one in technically. But I'll probably wait till tomorrow or a day after that to get that, because I'm going to have to take the whole quarter off, and I want to put this quarter back on first to maintain some of the structure. That way things aren't flapping around everywhere. But yep, progress. Well, we got it all bolted back in and back together. I didn't have bolts in here, so I had to actually work. I had to cut a little bit of the inside of this out to get this back fitting to where I needed it to be, and put a screw on both sides to get that nice solid line right there, because I kept on having issues with it popping up in the front when I put the back in, so I had to do some finagling. The lip was a little bit off, so had to work it and get that there. Now I need to take this door off, because as you can see, this is closed and it's way off, but I already knew that. So this door is, it's way off at the bottom on the rocker. So I've got a new door, and I got some new hinges too, because it has a bad hinge on it. So that's going to be one of the next steps before we do any welding, is get the new door on there and see if we can get it fitting good to match up to this quarter before I make any final welds. So, but this side's back on, so good deal. Hey everybody, it's Jeff. We're back out here on the 69 Mustang, about to get back to work on doing metal work on the passenger side now. We did the actual wheel tub, not the wheel tub, but the outer wheel well patches yesterday, and put the quarter back on. Now we're going to go ahead and get the quarter off the passenger side and work on the wheel well on that side. So let's get to it. Whew, I'll tell you what, it is hot out here, and we're welding away. As you can see, there's a lot of crappy weld and patches on this panel that I had previously done, but we've got it all put together and welded. There's still more work to be done. I got gaps and so on from where the lip didn't quite work out in these areas, so I'm gonna have to patch those. Some on the a whole lot on this side, so I've got to fab up some metal to take and get everything secured in place. But I mean, for the most part, this isn't going anywhere. We got it all smashed back together and got some good welds all the way through and then on here on the support. So we're nice and solid again over on this side. Still gonna have to do some fixes right there. As you can see, there's a big old gap. So I mean, unfortunately this car was super rusty, so there's a lot of stuff like that where I'm gonna have to make some filler pieces just to make sure it's sturdy and waterproof. So, but it's enough for the day. It is almost 100 degrees out here, and the goal was to get this quarter off and kind of get this secured better in place. So it's a good start. Later. Hey everybody, we're back out here. About to start cutting away some sheet metal off of this old quarter skin that I originally started on with this car before I went with the full quarters. I'm going to basically use it as patch metal with my inner wheel well lip just being a little bit of a gap and some issues there. I'm going to use this to make my patches there and get back to work on this passenger side. So let's get to it. Alright, not the prettiest thing in the world, but we cut a nice strip and then made sure to bend it down all the way through here and close up that gap with this lip. Did the same thing on the back side as well, where there was some, this was good down here, but there was a gap about a foot long in here where this lip had just ripped away from this inner wheel weld. So we wanted to put some structure back in there. Still got to do some fixing here. Might get a rod and just kind of weld the rod in there to kind of seal this back up. Stuff like that. But I mean, still got to clean this and paint it and seam seal it. All that good stuff before we really get the quarter really back on and ready to weld. But we're getting there. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning into this week's episode. We got quite a bit done. Not as much as I'd like, but sometimes that's the way it goes. It's hard working these hot summer days out here in the garage. Some stuff you don't get filmed, some, your camera magically disappears. I actually got all the shifter linkage added to the car this week, but none of it's recorded. I made a little Z-bar linkage to kind of use the current configuration in a rod. We got the wheel wells welded in and really ready for seam sealing. Still got a couple other little spots to weld up before we get that quarter panel back on the passenger side, but we got the driver side all taken care of and cinched back in. Still got to put the door on and really get that fitment right before we do any welding there, but we're making progress. That's the key here. Engine's running, transmissions all configured and ready to go, other than the rear chunk needs to be put in, so that's another thing I need to do. I need to pull the axles, put the 350 posi in there, do a couple other things. We've got to fill the transmission up with fluid and actually make sure it goes in gear and does what it's supposed to do. I have no reason to believe it won't. This was a running, driving car. Well, the engine drivetrain was running and driving in a previous 69 Mustang I bought from my friend, so should be no issues there, but it's always something we got to pay attention to. So anyways, like, subscribe, comment, and next week we'll be doing more sheet metal work and trying to finish up getting everything put back together and ready for welding. So stay tuned. Peace.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change. Play